E nos últimos tempos um nome vem surgindo à tona aí como um dos analistas que mais vem se comportando a favor da compra da Activision Blizzard pela Microsoft. Michael Pachter. Ele é o diretor administrativo da Webbush Securities, empresa dedicada a surtir ali efeitos na área de entretenimento eletrônico, comércio eletrônico, jogos, filmes e outras coisas mais. Ele também organiza um dos maiores eventos que acontece na E3, então o cara é ligado sim com games. A grande vantagem de Michael Pachter é que ele tem aí uma grande experiência de mais de 20 anos no mercado de equity, que é participação de mercado, além de profundo conhecimento e especialização em tecnologia. E ele é um líder da indústria, atualmente considerado um dos maiores especialistas, como se diz, na área de negócios. Mas ele é famoso nesta área da Activision Blizzard e vem causando um certo impacto aí, causando certos murmurinhos, dizendo, pessoas que vêm dizendo que ele só erra, que ele não acerta nada do que ele vem dizendo, mas por outro lado, outras grandes pessoas também dizem por aí que Michael Pachter tá dando a letra do que vai acontecer na aquisição da Activision Blizzard com relação aos reguladores CMA, FTC e também da União Europeia. Então, que tal ficar com o vídeo que ele fez uma entrevista sensacional lá no canal do Destin, que é um cara super especializado também na indústria de videogames. Inclusive, vou deixar o link aí para vocês da entrevista completa que rolou lá no canal dele, todos os direitos ao nosso querido Destin. Eu só fiz a tradução e a legenda para vocês, que é um pedaço muito importante que eu quero que vocês assinem. E aí, quem puder, já deixa aquele like e também se inscreve no nosso canal aí da Central Xbox para dar aquela força pra gente trazer mais conteúdo para vocês. Olha só.
I usually open with this question, though, and seeing we're talking about Activision, is the deal going to go through? We've seen a lot from the... Okay.
Yes, going through.
So they still have the roadblock of the CMA. You seem very confident. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, the CMA is, they have jurisdiction over the UK only, and just to define the UK, there's an island called Great Britain that consists of England, Wales, and Scotland. They're all part of the United Kingdom. And then the northern tip of the island of Ireland is called Northern Ireland. That's also part of the UK. So just the island of Great Britain and the northern part of Ireland is under the CMA's jurisdiction. So if the CMA says the deal can't go through because we're concerned that Microsoft will put Call of Duty on Game Pass, then Microsoft will say, fine, we'll form an independent entity and we'll name it Activision Blizzard UK PLC. PLC is their way of saying incorporated. And Activision Blizzard UK PLC will run the business under the status quo. Nothing will change while we litigate the CMA's block of the deal. So we're going to close the deal. You guys can just right off if you think you can stop us from closing the deal. But we're going to respect your law and we're going to maintain the status quo until we win in court, because we're going to win. And if we don't win, then we will actually divest of Activision Blizzard UK PLC. We'll spin it off to our shareholders and let that thing run as an independent entity, and you can regulate that and don't worry about it. And it won't be able to do anything with Call of Duty. So that's the easy solution. The UK is about 20% of Microsoft's total market, Microsoft's total gaming market. Mm-hmm. So it's meaningful, but it's not, it's like, saying that you have to do something different in California. And automakers have managed to, honor California's emission standards for the last 50 years. So Microsoft can honor the UK's, opposition to a deal. The fact is that when the CMA understands all this, and Microsoft, as recently as today, updated its response to the CMA, offering to do exactly. And what I said, Activision Blizzard UK PLC, they didn't offer that. They said, we'll appoint an independent trustee and an independent overseer. So the trustee will make decisions that are in the best interests of the consumer, and the overseer will report to you guys, auditor will report to you guys and make sure that we maintain the status quo. And remember that the CMA had about, 30 or 40 pages of objections. What they boiled down to is, if Microsoft were to change the status quo, meaning if Microsoft were to stop supporting PlayStation, that would be bad for consumers. Agreed. 100%. That's right. Microsoft has said since literally the day after they announced the deal, we will continue to support PlayStation. As part of this settlement, they've already offered up a 10-year contract with Sony to continue to support PlayStation, which Sony rejected because Sony are a bunch of jerks. But the fact is, no one can say you've got to support PlayStation 5 for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
So the PlayStation 2 is defunct 23 years after it came out. PlayStation 5, it was defunct, 10 years, 12 years after it came out. The PlayStation 5 will be defunct by 2033. So a 10-year contract is fine. It'll take care of the PlayStation 5. Sony has no right to expect that Activision would support the PlayStation 6 because we don't even know what it is. It's entirely possible the PS6 costs $10,000, per unit and requires, processing speed where a game would cost $500 million to make, and no one would ever do it. I don't think Sony's that stupid, but Microsoft can't commit to support something that they don't know what it is. So there's no regulator that says you have to support that because you never know what it's going to be. So bottom line is the status quo is they support the PlayStation 5. Sony made some noise about, but if you put Activision titles on Game Pass, that would hurt PS Now. Wait a minute. Or PS Plus, sorry, they changed the name. PS Plus doesn't have any new release games and doesn't have anything from Activision. It might have like Crash Bandicoot from 1999, I don't know, or Spyro the Dragon or whatever. I don't think so.
It had Stray. It had Stray day one, and it did really well. And they're like, we don't talk about that.
Yeah. So I don't see that argument winning because as it stands right now, and I know Microsoft put something out on Game Pass today, but I didn't see if they updated subscribers. Microsoft was just above 50% of the size of PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus had 47 million subscribers, and the last time I saw Microsoft was 25. So Microsoft's smaller than Sony there. Who cares if one game, which represents something like 3% of the industry or whatever, is on their platform? Like, who cares? And as long as it's available on PlayStation, who cares? So the reason that the CMA can't really make this stick is that the CMA didn't block the Amazon acquisition of MGM Movies. And they didn't block the Disney acquisition of Fox Movies and TV. And they could have, but they didn't say a word. Why did Amazon buy MGM? To put the content on Freevee and on Amazon Prime Video. Why did Disney buy Fox? To put the content on Disney Plus. Like The Simpsons and Family Guy are on there right now. And the CMA said nothing about that. Is that unfair to Netflix? Absolutely it's unfair to Netflix. Did Netflix complain? No, because they're not a bunch of big babies. So the CMA can try to litigate. And when Microsoft goes to court and says, wait a minute, you guys didn't object to Amazon and MGM. And oh, by the way, Amazon MGM is really analogous to Activision Microsoft. MGM is literally about 3 or 4% of the movie market. Disney Fox is like 20%. It's a giant acquisition. And you said nothing in either case. You're going to single us out because Sony's whining? No, sorry. So no, honestly, they're going to win in court, but the solution that they propose, which is the independent trustee and the auditor, that'll be enough. The other thing that's fascinating here is that none of these agencies actually exist in a vacuum. So there's 3 big agencies that are looking at the deal. The EU, so European Union, the US Federal Trade Commission, and then the UK CMA. The EU did something very clever. They moved their decision date to 1 day before the CMA's decision date.
Yeah.
And so April 25th. And then they leaked out that we're leaning toward approving the deal. And they leaked out, they are Microsoft, that Microsoft is accommodating all of our requests. So how is it that the EU says on April 25th, there's no competitive issues whatsoever, we're happy with the deal, Microsoft has caved to all of our requests, and we approve the deal, and then the next day the CMA says, well, under those same facts and our law is the same, we block the deal. No court is ever going to uphold that, and the CMA knows that. So what I actually expect to happen is the CMA pushes their date forward and tries to beat the EU to the punch, and they want to approve it first so they can be the guys who got the concessions from Microsoft. Everybody ignores the fact that the US FTC is by far the most politically motivated of the 3, and the commissioners there are all aspiring to higher office. So all those people are going to jump and trip over themselves to try to get in front of the EU and CMA and approve the deal. So I would say the month of April is going to be exciting because you're going to get announcement after announcement after announcement. This deal is happening. It's closing.